Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new week of medical terminology. This is week 4, chapter 4. We are going to be looking at the skeletal system this week. The title of this chapter is The Essentials of the Language of Orthopedics. I think that's kind of an interesting word for you to think about. We'll talk about it in the live session. But that word orthopedics, what is that word? Why do we use the word orthopedics when we're talking about the skeletal system? So check that word out as you read the chapter, maybe break it down, and we'll talk about it in the live session. So fast facts about the skeletal system. Did you know that babies have about 100 more bones than adults when they're born? Did you know that humans and giraffes actually have the same number of bones in their necks? Humans, giraffes, same number of bones. Did you know that the funny bone is not a bone, or that the first vertebra is named after the Greek god Atlas? So much to learn about the skeletal system. Okay, anyway, so I hope that gets you inspired and excited to read this chapter. I think as you read, it's kind of a good idea to think about the functions of the skeletal system, because this might, be a little bit of new information. I think a lot of times people in general think about the skeletal system as just a bunch of bones, that all they do is have this like structural purpose to like hold up the body, to give structure to the body. Like they think of, it's almost like construction pieces, right? The bones, they're these like solid, permanent sort of pieces of framework for the body. And actually the word skeletal comes from the Greek word for dried up, withered, parched mummy. But that is just not what I would choose to think. That's not how I want you to think about the skeletal system. As you read this week, think about how the bones are much more than that, right? There's so much more than just a bunch of dried up old sticks inside the body. Bone tissue is alive. It's living tissue, it's dynamic, and it serves many functions for us in the body. Okay, so another thing to just like think about as you're reading, remember that the names we give bones and other structures in this system oftentimes reflect their form. So the name reflects the form, how they're shaped, or how they're named reflects the function, what they do. So an example of this name and form is the cruciate ligaments on the knee. The cruciate ligaments cross over each other to form an X. Cruciate means cross. But be careful, because it's also very close in pronunciation to one of the 3 unforgivable curses. But anyway, so think about that: name, form, and function, because I know there's a lot of memorization this week. Also in this chapter, just a quick thing to pay attention to, you are going to be introduced in the chapter to the idea of eponyms, which I love to think about. I think eponyms are super fascinating, and they're actually a controversial topic, a controversial area of medical terminology. So in the chapter, read about what eponyms are and just be on the lookout for them as you go through this chapter and beyond. Think about the ups and downs, the positives and negatives of eponyms. Do you like them, or do you kind of think we should be moving on from eponyms in the world of medical terms? Okay, well, that's a lot to think about. Happy studying. You're all doing great. So just keep up the good work. Keep doing what you're doing. And I will see you next week this week in the live session. Bye, everybody.